Hello guys, welcome back. My name is Arpit Shah and today I'm going to explain to you what is variable in Java. Let's talk about variable. What is a variable? Variable is just a nice user-friendly name that is assigned to a value that you would like to manipulate later on. As you can see on the screen, I have given an example, x equals 3. Now let's talk about why do we need variables in the first place. So the main purpose of the variable is to hold a value. So in our example, 3 is the value that we would like to hold and x is the variable name itself. Now let me explain why do we need to do that. So instead of simple example like 3, let's say we have a value like 3.123456. Now imagine that you have a complicated program which makes use of that value, and if you don't assign a simple variable name to it, you need to carry forward this value every time where you need to use that value. So basically your program would look complicated. As a user, there is a high chance that you will do typing error. So instead of using that value directly, if I assign a simple variable name x and use that instead, it will make our program writing much more easy and less error prone. Variable can also be used to hold the manipulated value. So let's say if I have a variable called y and I would like to hold the manipulated value, which means that let's say I want to add 5 to the original x value, I can say x plus 5. So we can imagine that what it would be doing, it would take the x, which is 3.123456, and add 5 to it. So y should be 8.123456. Now I will print these values in a second so you know what is happening, but that will take us to another information that we must have. So in Java, you can't just declare variable by just providing a variable name. You need to be very specific of the type. So what do I mean by that? So for these example, I need to make sure that the x has a type assigned to it, and because it's a fractional number, I have to assign a double. Now let me print these values so you know that what is actually happening in the background. So I'm printing the x value and at the same time I'm printing the y value, and let's run it for a second. And as you can see, the x is printed 3.123456 as expected, and y is 8.123456 plus lots of other digits. It will all make sense in a minute, so please bear with me. Let me explain to you what variable type means. Variable type tells compiler how much memory to be allocated for that variable, so it can hold the value of that size or up to that size. So as you can see some example given above, if you assign a variable type equals byte, it would allocate 1 byte of memory. If you call it integer, it will be a 4 bytes, and if you use variable type double, it will assign 8 bytes of memory, and so on. In our example, we have used variable x and y of type double. That means we have pretty much allocated 16 bytes of memory, and we can fit any value that fits within that 8 byte of boundary. Now just to explain what just happened here, x has been allocated a very specific value, so it did not add any padding to it. But when we printed y, because it's a manipulated value, compiler added a zeros at the end to fill in all the 8 bytes, and when we printed it, we could see the end result of it. Now because it's a fractional number, lots of zeros and 1 doesn't add actually any significant value to it. That means we can still take it as 8.123456, and that is as we expected. One important thing you need to remember, that as a Java user, it is your responsibility to assign a right type. If you are a bad programmer and you use double for everything you want to store, you are pretty much wasting 8 bytes of memory, and you may only be using maybe integer values, which is a 4 bytes. While we are on variable topic, let me also expand into naming convention of the variable. In example, I have used x and y because that's what you are used to in your math class. But whenever you are naming variable names into programming language, it is generally advisable to use variable that makes sense. So x and y, it's okay to be used for a small program, but if I have a program that is very huge, like 10-15,000 lines of program, having variable name as x is not going to help us. So if I know 3.12345 is the size of screw, let's say, then I should name variable with the proper name. And if I know that addition of that, it will be a bigger screw, then let's call it that. And that means whenever someone has to manipulate that value, they know that we are talking about variable that means size of screw. Also, you must have noticed that I have started a variable name with a small character, and then I have used capitals wherever there is a new word starts. So it is called camel case naming convention, and Java likes to have a variable with a smaller character at the front. If you Google about it, you would see there are lots of convention out there. Whatever works for you, you can use, but this is what I follow. There you go. So now you guys know what is variable means in Java, what are the types of variable you can use. There are actually more types than what I have shown in example, but as you start using it, you familiarize yourself with that. So thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'll be posting more videos, so keep yourself up to date.